hour number 2 of the Sports Buzz. That's presented by the Milford National Bank and Trust Company. You can bake online at milfordnational.com. Matt Rommeling alongside, I always forget it, I want to do this every week, the voice of Milford Legion Baseball. I got to say that. And Milford TV as well. MTV. I love that name for Milford TV, MTV. It's perfect.
It's original. Right? It's never thought of before.
I like it much better than the other MTV. Can I say that?
Yeah.
And Craig
you probably hear more music on our station, too.
It's no question. Craig D'Alessandro is also with us.
Oh, yeah, just Craig.
And joining us, hi, Craig.
Hi.
And joining us right now in the NewEnglandFatLoss.com studios, he is the head coach of the Milford boys soccer team. Our friend Jim Asam joining us. Coach Asam, how are you today?
Great. Great to be here.
Well, we appreciate you coming down, and hey, we're always so grateful when coaches are willing to come on and come down in season, because we know how busy you are in the middle of your season with everything going on with practice. And oh, by the way, we have to remember most coaches have 10 other jobs and things they're doing as well. So you're a little busy. So we greatly appreciate you stopping in. Before we get into the season a little bit, we had of course the athletic director Peter Boucher in about a month ago now, and he was talking all about the Leadership Academy that you guys put together for the captains and for Milford athletes in general. You participated in that. Just to get your thoughts, how much fun was that? How useful was that for your team and going through for all the athletic programs?
Yeah, Peter's done a great job since he's been here, and this is something he spoke to the coaches about and asked any coaches wanted to jump on board. And I've been there for a while, and I figured it'd be a great thing. And we really never had anything like that in Milford. And, the kids know to lead by example and this and that, but there's a lot more to being a captain and being a leader. And I think this program brought it out. And I've had a lot of my captains and along with other captains come up and say they got a lot out of it.
Oh, that's great. And I was wondering, Tim and I were kind of wondering this aloud too when it was happening, just how useful it could be for coaches, because sometimes from year to year, you don't have the outspoken player. You don't have you don't have a guy that understands maybe how to connect with different groups and how important it is to talk to everybody on the team. Now, sometimes you just have those natural leaders, but there can be seasons as a coach where you don't have a natural leader, where you have to sort of take a kid and sort of show him how to do it. Where now in the past you're relying on, well, I better have that one natural leader who gets it on my roster. If I don't, it's going to make my life a lot more difficult. How important was it to have a forum to maybe tell kids that before the season even starts, that we need leaders? And
having the kids in the audience and giving their point of view and what they've experienced too has been a huge part of it. And, having been involved in coaching for over, 20 years now, I was learning stuff, a lot of the stuff that was being brought up and stuff. It's like, wow, and you think as a coach that, you instill this into the kids, but, it's good to have this extra program that Peter put forth. And, I'm looking forward to it, working with them in the years to come.
And, Coach, you're about 3-4 weeks into your regular season schedule now. Have you noticed out of your captains on your team a little bit of a difference, like maybe some of what they heard during that leadership conference really took root?
Yeah, I think the communication between the player and coach, that's one thing I noticed, that my captains are coming to me a lot more, where in the past the captains, you sort of had to go to the captains, and that was a big part of the leadership program is, including the coach in your thoughts, and, whether the coach would help to, get that message to the players, or if they felt they could do it themselves, and that was great.
Well, and interesting, Matt was just talking about how sometimes you have those natural leaders on your roster and sometimes you don't. I have to imagine, feel pretty fortunate to have a player on your squad like Mike Da Silva, who really just exudes those natural leadership skills and really takes ownership of that team. What's it been like working with him over the years?
Mike's been great, to see him, grow from coming in as a freshman, having some goalie experience, but not much. And Timmy Pinto, who's one of our volunteers, has helped out tremendously in working with Mike. And, each year you just see him growing and improving. And, the way he, puts forth his, example in games, it's great.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the season so far, Coach. Let's start with your most recent game Thursday at Canton. Talk a little bit about that game, a tough 2-1 loss for you guys.
Yeah, it was tough. We've had a little problem the last few games where we've had 7, 10, 15 minutes where we sort of get lost out on the field, and in all those games, that's when we've allowed our goals. And I've been trying to get the players to understand that we have to play 80 minutes. And with the Hockomock, the way it's stacked and the way the teams are so competitive, you really need to play 80 minutes. You could have 5 minutes that you don't play so well, and that could be the difference in the game.
And Coach, we talked a little bit off air before you came on. Your best game by far so far this season, a 3-0 victory over King Philip. I look at that game, and it seems as though your team really rose to the level of their competition, King Philip being such a tough team. Do you feel like there was a difference in the intensity level in that game versus what you've seen maybe in some of the other games?
Yeah, that was our first home game, which might have been a big boost. But we came out and we played our game, and I had guys step up and play games that I haven't seen them play before. And I've sort of been talking to the guys about the consistency. We haven't shown that consistency from game to game. We have some guys standing out in some games and others in others. So it's a matter of getting everyone to work together and hopefully get back on track.
I want to go back to the beginning part of the season, and I always like to talk about it because I think, people who are watching the games forget how much work goes into things prior to the season starts. When does practice start for you guys, and how did that kind of present as you guys got closer to your season opener in terms of feeling prepared for the season to begin, and what is the type of work that you have to put in, your coach and your staff, to get the team ready?
Well, we started, it seemed late this year. It was towards the end of August, but we still get those practices in. We have our preseason games that, I get to look at some different guys. Our numbers this year were huge. We had 63 players, to sort of filter through, and, we feel that we put players where they belong, and, that doesn't mean that we won't change it, throughout the season, but.
Now that's a good problem to have, but it's probably also one of those problems where you're like, oh my God, I got 63 kids I have to look at right now and figure out what I'm doing.
A lot of the younger guys, we have a few younger guys that we actually gave an opportunity to. Joe Madden, he's a freshman. He's been playing, full minutes for me. He's been doing great. And, even going down the line, we have Andre Oliveira, who's a sophomore, who got the opportunity last year to play for me. And, he just got a goal in the last game. So, these younger guys are, the key to the future.
We've talked a lot in these first 3 weeks, Coach, with the football team about 3 straight road games to open up the season, now finally getting that home game. And I look at your schedule, 5 of your first 7 games in the regular season on the road. You've only had 2 home games so far on the season. How tough has that been?
Well, by the record, it seems like it's been pretty tough. But, fortunately, our win did come at home, so hopefully, the road ahead being home is a good sign for us.
Well, you are back on the road Tuesday, and talk about that. It's going to be certainly a tough test. You were letting us know Oliver Ames is undefeated so far at 6-0. What are some of the things you're going to have to be ready for against them?
Well, it seems like we always run into Oliver Ames. Looking back at the last few years, we've sort of, 2 years ago we were in a game with them that, was for the league title. And, last year they had a tough team and we played them pretty tough. So, I think the guys are looking forward to it. They know the history of playing Oliver Ames, the short history that's been, but it seems like we've sort of built that rivalry with them.
I want to talk about that, as you sort of just alluded to it. You've been coaching a long time. What's it been like headed over to the Hockomock League? It's obviously a league that everyone in Milford's very familiar with. They were a part of way back. Now a part of it again. What's it been like, though, for the transition for you as a coach? I know it's been more than a couple of seasons now, but it still has to feel a little bit different. And then, of course, you had what looked like you were headed to the TVL there for a time period. What's the transition been like, and do you like being in the Hawk?
Yeah, it's competitive. Milford's always had a competitive team, and it's like you have your top 2 teams, and then it's the 4 or 5 right after that. There's no weak teams in the Hockomock. Everyone, competes, and that's what, Milford is all about. And, hopefully, as the years go on, we get a little more acclimated to everything. And the travel hasn't been bad. it's about the same as it was with the Midwalk, minus your Fitchburg and your North Middlesex, that we were pretty much getting off the bus and, kicking the ball. But other than that, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I'm still, and Tim and I have talked a little bit about this, trying to figure out, because Franklin obviously in the league, but who's the rival? Who's the guy that you can, really sink your teeth into across all sports? We kind of know who those teams were when you're in Central Mass, but it's been a little bit different being in Hawk, trying to figure that out.
Right. I mean, you always have your rival at Franklin, and,
right.
and Franklin's soccer program's real strong, and even this year where they've let go a lot of seniors last year, they're still competing. So. I think the guys get up for, the games against Franklin. But, in our league alone, it's been Oliver Ames. Obviously Foxborough has had some good programs. So.
Oliver Ames seems to be the answer that Tim and I have been getting a lot from people.
Right, yeah. Oliver Ames is the team. I think it's just through the 4 years that we've been in the league, this is the team that it seems we keep coming up against, and they keep having a, real strong record and a strong program. So, the guys do get up for it, and hopefully that's the case on Tuesday.
And, Coach, you mentioned a little bit earlier the youth that you have on this varsity roster this year. You talked about Joe Madden, who was one of your goal scorers in that win against King Philip. Sophomores playing key roles on this roster. Obviously, with this Hockomock League, as we've mentioned, these teams are really relentless in terms of the talent that they have on these teams. So looking at that youth, and they've certainly shown promise earlier in the season, do you feel like this is a team that you're really going to see like a sharp curve of progress as this year continues to go along, as they really get their feet wet at the varsity level?
Yeah, I think, looking down the roster, I mean, those are really the young guys that we have. We are senior, stacked, but, coming in, this year we'll have seniors that are going to be, graduating. So I'm going to be looking at a lot of these younger guys to step into a varsity role, and it could be, 2 or 3 years that they're in that role, whereas some of my seniors now, like Mike DeSilver, Justin Borges, these are the guys that have been with me for the last few years, both of them being my captains this year. And, Luis Gonzalez, a senior that, I've watched grow for the last few years. Matt Fornicherry, he's been great. So these are guys that I've seen go through the program that way, and I'm hoping the same goes with these younger guys that are coming up.
You're in the midst of a jam-packed league schedule coming up. Oliver Ames on Tuesday, but you do have a non-league game coming up next Saturday with a team right nearby in Nipmuc. And kind of how does that work in terms of having that non-league game in the middle? And it's nice to have it with a team close by and obviously a non-league kind of rivalry.
Yeah, we've been doing that the last few years where we've included Nipmuc, and actually this year we also included Hopedale. But yeah, the guys get up for those local games, and this one being home is going to be nice. It's a 3:00 start. I think our schedule, it said 10 originally, but we had to switch.
Yeah, I think it looks like you got it.
Start.
Yeah, it looks like 3:00 next Saturday with Nipmuc, and then Tuesday you have the big road game with undefeated Oliver Ames, and then right back on the road with Stoughton on Friday night. Coach, before we let you go, you were mentioning to us it's sort of in the making still, but you guys have a food drive that you guys are working on putting together coming up in mid-October, October 17th, I believe.
Yeah, Mike DeSilver approached me and asked if it would be something that he would like to do with the team, and I thought it was a great idea. I passed it by Peter. He says sure. So we're working on that now. It's going to be right now. It looks like October 17th at Plains Park. Be from 7 to 2 during the Milford Youth Soccer play day. So.
Oh, beautiful. Well, we'll get more information on that from you as it gets a little bit closer. Good luck Tuesday.
Thank you.
You're looking forward to that game. And thanks so much for stopping in season. We really appreciate that,
Anytime.
Coach.
Thanks.
Coach Asam joining us. Jim Asam, the head coach of the Milford boys soccer team, joining us here on the Sports Box.